Hey everyone, sorry about the terrible response at a terrible hour as opposed to the usual terrible response. But I did want to try to get a video or two up tonight because this current video is a response to something I said on a message board. So I'm not looking to make, enemies or anything on here. That's not the point. It's just a rant about a, you know, silly show that I have in my life on the side. So I'm not going to name the individual. It's not rocket science to literally Google everything I'm saying on here in response to what this person said. But in response to my last video with the pacing for the Champion 8, here is what an individual on a message board said. So, quote, my critique of your response is that I don't think the PWC is the biggest tournament ever. Only to a casual viewer, I think. If the PM anime is going to end, it'll end in March. Around the same time Sun/Moon did 3 years ago. It's currently June, meaning the PWC will wrap up sometime around August, comparable to Pokemon Leagues in the past. Note that XY didn't end in March due to the high number of specials aired instead, but otherwise would have. Specials that for PM were relegated to Amazon Prime. Add this to the suggestion that the non-Ash battles were originally not going to be animated. What we're looking at is essentially the Pokemon League of PM at the traditional placement of the league, meaning there's 6 months gap between now and the end of PM if it really will end. I seriously doubt Ash wins here, and we just cruise control with Go until the end of PM, and they break up for Scarlet Violet. That would be a regression back to the formulas proven obsolete by SM, so Sun Moon. So the Pokemon World Champion cannot be the true end. There's likely something Ash does battle-wise after this. If it's out of Armor, the Galar League, Sinnoh Battle Frontier, who knows? Ash being Steven is already a huge enough accomplishment that he doesn't have to beat Cynthia or Leon to prove himself a Pokemon Master or the Alola Champion. That's the end of what the individual who was discussing this with me said. Um, Two things that stood out actually just now, I didn't even really think about or notice it earlier. If Ash doesn't defeat Leon, let alone Cynthia, who we're all assuming he'll fight in the semifinals, safe assumption, but we don't know for sure. We don't know. It's a safe assumption, though. But if he doesn't beat them, no, he won't be a Pokemon master. There will be people above him. As opposed to being the Alola champion, that wouldn't be a situation where he gets dethroned, you know? So if he lost, even to Steven Stone, first round, it wouldn't dethrone him as the Alolan champion because Steven Stone is not from home. Yes, he is. Not from Alola, rather. But also, it's not to claim that title. Um, the World Championship is a completely different thing. So, here's what I said to this individual. Now, here's the thing. If you're already tuning in, thank you. Thank you. I have a very yoga-esque, monotone, deadpan voice. Working on it. Trying to make this kind of fun to follow. Instead of a very long Ben Stein, look that up if you don't know what that is. If you're under dinosaur age, trying to make it fun. So I don't claim to be a condescending jerk, but I'm going to give myself a condescending jerk with my response to what this individual said to try to make it kind of entertaining along with informative. Not saying I'm right, but I think if you all listen to my 7 points, you'll agree it's pretty spot on. Now, if I'm wrong, I will say, with myself on a pedestal, the writers screwed up. Terrible job on their part. If I'm right, it's not even just that I foresaw things. It's just the writers did very simple formulaic writing. Here we go. So what I said was this, with the condescending voice to make it more entertaining. Firstly, I just want to copy and paste something I was about to post. Quote, so Lance versus Diantha and Cynthia versus Iris will be one parters. Maybe the same with Ash versus Steven. Sigh. Three-parters can be done well in 20 minutes with no Team Rocket nonsense and sidekick audience dialogues, such as Brock explained to girl companion what a move does. Those always take a very long time. And that is promising so far. I'm worried these will also be rushed powerhouse beatdowns. The possible final tournament with Ash is seemingly being treated as a regular league, with things being wrapped up with the first rounds. It will provide possibly 16 episodes for the last 3 battles. This is good, but there will be time to be put aside for Project Mew if Ash retires and another poor soul isn't stalked by TR. Even less time to work with. If they pull this off, every moment will count. Unquote. Before I continue with my post, what I was getting at was just this. There's not much time to work with, especially if they're plugging in Project Mew stuff. You'll see my next few points why I think that's the thing. The point is, there's not that much time to work with between now and November, believe it or not. And, you know something? If they retire Ash and they keep the Rocket Trio, seriously? 9 generations, 25 years? Side thought, by the way. I spoke to a friend of mine who originally was ingratiated with Japan due to anime. Very long pause if you're going to laugh about that. They have gone on, though, to really learn about Japanese culture, politics, everyday life. And they will tell you, unlike America, look what The Simpsons has done with Ned Flanders and other people. In Japan, there's, get this, respect for people who do voice acting. It's an actual thing. As opposed to, just being an actor who shows your face on the screen. His point was, the Team Rocket Trio, along with Rika Matsumoto of Ash, they're getting older. It's naive to think they will not be written off soon, especially with Unova over 12 years ago winning us off of the trio as characters. What I'm getting at is it's hard to imagine Ash being written off and the Rocket Trio, and therefore probably the organization, Giovanni, etc., being there to harass the Generation 9 protagonist, if that happens. Let's continue the post. So with the condescending voice I was not trying to make, here we go. Number 1. In regard to when the show will end, why do you believe it will be in March? The new games will be out in November, and since Johto, the show, has always matched the games with advertising the new regions, Game Freak and ShowPro would have to make a compelling reason for kids to tune in when there is a whole new region and Ash or Go are still playing around in whatever original 8 region they were in the last 3 years. So, the point I'm making is just this. For the last 3 years, the writers have decided that Ash and Go will travel 8 regions as opposed to just Galar. Galar got extremely neglected, by the way. Worst advertisement for games ever. We haven't even seen all the Galar Pokemon. It's terrible. With that said, what I'm getting at is, I can't imagine Ash and Go playing around in the Generation 9 games before they even come out, let alone months after the opposite end. You're going to advertise for a set of games 5 or 6 months after they came out? It doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, number 2, if the answer is to send them to the new region, then why wouldn't they wrap up the current series by November if Ash/Go are not boxed in the first 8 regions? Number 3, I can see them easily filling up the 6-month gap. The reason is because they will have the next 3 episodes to get through. Did I say episodes? Yes, I think I did. Yes. To get through the last 3 first rounds. After the 3-week gap that started last week is over, by then it will be nearly August. August and September could easily be filled by the final 3 battles if they are all 6v6. With less GR nonsense so far and panning away to the audience, it would need to be 2 partners for the last 3 battles. Partners. But some previews show Octolea, Tracy, Charizard, Crocodile, Infonate, Peanut in the audience. There are likely more of Ash's Pokemon either there or being shown watching from Oak's Kukuis on TV. I'm hoping Ash's, all of them, traveling pains in the past will show up by the final battle at the latest. What I was getting at with that post was, this is it, guys. If Ash's story continues from here, you'll see what I think about that in later posts, but it wouldn't be great. And we already see Oak, Dalia, Tracy, and 4 of Ash's Pokemon in the audience watching. And we've had the Great Reserve disappointment. We'll see with the final battle. But we know that a lot of his Pokemon are there physically in the audience. It would take 2 seconds to show Ash's Pokemon at Oak's Ranch watching him and his Alolan Pokemon Kukuis. It's likely going to happen. That's what I was getting at. So, I pointed out these things. Let's see. Therefore, there will be a lot of panning out to the audience. If these final battles are done right, I mean Ash versus Paul, Sawyer, Alan, Brandon, Kukui, Gary, level of suspense, because they were epic battles. It would be important to make the battles long, if there are not too many interruptions. Ash vs. Paul was 3 parts, Ash vs. Kukui was 4. So we would then find ourselves in October. Project Mew final mission with Regigigas, and then Mew would be 3 versus 3 or 3 if done well. So what I was getting at there was just that this is theirs to lose. These are going to be really crappy. I can't imagine a 1 episode like Ash vs. Tobias kind of thing, but if these last 3 battles are just 2 parts, they could probably pull it off without Team Rocket or an audience distraction. But they better not do that. 3 or 4 parts would be ideal. If I'm right, they would then use 4 more episodes to tie up loose ends with TR. Ash's buddies, Contest Girls, reaching the next or final step of tier goals. But we won't even have that if the 6 vs. 6 battles, I'm presuming the final 3 battles are 6 vs. 6, are 4 parts. So what I was getting at was this. So by October, if they have things wrapped up, right? The new games come out mid-November, so we have about 6-7 episodes to wrap Ash's story up, because I'm pretty convinced he's going to win this, guys. I get to it pretty soon, but the point is, if he does, will an audience in 2023, children, let's be honest, are they going to follow a story about a retired protagonist's buddies and see if they win contests or become the number one connoisseur. They're not. It was a long time ago, especially for children. The Pokemon anime with Go started in 2019. That's a long time ago for children. So if they don't wrap this all up right now, don't see it happening. I can't imagine the Rocket Trio harassing a new protagonist for 20 more years. It would be weird. So, like Butch and Cassidy, they're probably going to be retired, along with the organization. I could be wrong. I'm probably the only person thinking about this, but I am actually thinking about it, along with the League tournament and Project Mew. I actually have my thoughts about November being the wrap up of the Team Rocket organization. Could happen, maybe not. I don't know. But I think it makes sense. So it could be wrapped up by November, but barely, which is a good point. We've had so many fillers. It's so disappointing to see these first 4 battles be these 1 episode, 1-parters. Seriously? 1 part? Stop treating this like a league. The final capstone of the 8 dungeon formula, which I referred to in my last episode. Come on. This is the fight of Ash's life. And you know, I do appreciate that they're showing other people's battles, but seriously, 3v3 in the Master Day tournament? Even with that, all being done in 1 episode? Really? But here we go, number 4. I don't know, man. They probably would have done the Sinnoh Battle Frontier back in the day if they wanted to. They probably wanted to avoid redundancy. Ash won the Kanto one. And focus on advertising Heart Gold, Soul Silver after 3 years into Sinnoh. As for the Galar League, it would be a downgrade, especially if Ashton wouldn't. After fighting the 7 other strongest trainers in the world. Same reason he didn't go to the gym quests this series. As for the side regions, they have made appearances in Project Mew episodes and will likely continue with the Regigigas foreshadow. The writers don't care enough, as they gave the Hisui region a simple 4-part Amazon Prime series. They didn't even show any living Hisuian Pokemon. So my point with that was just this. The 4-part Amazon Prime series, it was disappointing. My humble opinion. But the biggest part for me was the frame where they showed the Hisuian Pokemon in the painting. They run up to the screen, make meaningless noises, not even real barks or cries. And that's it. No time traveling, nothing. Even though we've seen time traveling in the episode where May and Meowth and her Squirtle, encountered the lovers who were separated by the train. So that was a thing. Okay. Not to dump too much on journeys. This isn't the video for that. But what I will say is, the writers don't care about covering all their bases. So if things which a lot of them already have been covered by Project Mew, they're not going to go out of their way to cover the expansions to the Galar games. They don't care about Sword and Shield. Look how neglected Galar has been in this region of Ash's journey, where he travels 8 different regions of the world he's been already. Galar has been severely neglected. It's not even funny. So with that said, though, I was going to say one more thing. Yeah, so Project Mew, the writers don't care, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, basically that. Don't expect that you're going to see this big gap where regions haven't been discovered yet, or particular sections of the regions are going to be discovered. That's not going to happen. Here we go. Number 5. People hate Go. I have never seen a campaign of Ashes, even Max, it's so true, get so much hate. I can't see Project Mew taking more than 4 to 5 more episodes, at best because most people don't care and they don't like Go. It would be a ratings nightmare to have Go as the main character from November through March, doing an excruciatingly long final mission for Project Mew. Once he sees maybe the writers still intend on him catching it, Go's goal will be done as for seeing as opposed to catching Mew. Nobody, even if they like Go, want to see him catch Pokemon aimlessly to fill up the decks, especially after working his way up to Mew. Long story short, I said this in one of my last videos. Go would have been a character that I think more people would have liked if he had explored the first 7 regions of the Pokemon universe. And all he needed to do now was catch the Galar Pokemon and maybe a handful of legendaries. Like maybe caught 4, 5, 6 legendaries. Some legendary birds, dogs, the Reggies, whatever. Make him an accomplished trainer on par with Ash, like Paul versus Ash with Sinnoh. And with that said, if they had done that, it would have been more believable for him to catch every Pokemon, let alone more legendary Pokemon, because he had caught some. Go was introduced as someone who is very intelligent with Pokemon knowledge, but no experience. The whole point I'm making is the writers decided, what was it, you guys? A year and a half, maybe even 2 years in, the latest? Go wasn't compelling enough. Because the writers didn't want to put the time aside off screen, which would have been a better idea, let alone on screen, which was a bad idea, to have him catch a ton of Pokemon. So, at this point, having 120 out of 900 Pokemon in the current time, a year ago they saw this coming and they were like, this isn't going to work. We need to have another reason for him to catch Mew, which they've kind of downgraded to just see Mew. The point is, this isn't really a video about Go at all, but a lot of people don't like Go, specifically for his original quest. That's the point I'm making in point number 5. The show will never be able to carry on Go. It's not even just America or Europe thing and other regions. I've seen some channels that have talked about how Japanese fans, their core audience, don't like Go. The show will not carry on with Go. I'm 95% sure. If I'm wrong and they do it, it would definitely be a ring suicide. On to point number 6. Ash has always worked his way up with his goals, with the exception of Unova, which was a terrible league. He rose through the ranks each league until he became a Pokemon regional champion, which happened in Alola. They will in no way be able to get people to watch Ash train another 3 years to just maybe beat Leon next time, let alone Cynthia. I certainly couldn't imagine him then finding a compelling goal that is part of a compelling narrative. Remember, we have never had Ash have a goal that is focused for 3 years on defeating just one guy. The point I made with that was, it's been 3 years. Ash has never been focused on defeating one individual. If Ash fails with this, I know he vaguely has always had goals of being a Pokemon Master or winning a Pokemon League, but this was so hyper-focused. If he lost, is anyone really in 2022, almost 2023, with the 9th generation games going to tune in and be like, yeah, I can't wait for Ash to be Leon, who was a big deal 3 years ago? Really? If that happens, they don't know their audience. That's not going to happen. The ratings will tank. I'm not saying no one's going to buy the games, but less people will buy the games. The whole point of the anime. Just saying. Now, with that said, keep this in mind. The individual I responded to said Ash will probably lose to Cynthia. It's a big deal he defeated Steven. If Ash loses to Leon, it's unexcusable. It's been his literal goal the last 3 years. But losing to Cynthia, That's even worse. No offense, Cynthia. She's our waifu for people who are geared that way. The point is, she wasn't even the focus of the conversation. Even back in Sinnoh, because Ash couldn't even imagine to aspire that far just yet. But now, 4 game generations later, Ash losing to Cynthia? Really? Also, we're making assumptions. I do believe Cynthia will defeat Iris, but whatever. So point number 7. Nothing you say is impossible, but on a final note, if Ash does win, where would he go from there? If that doesn't make him a Pokemon master, maybe they could do a handful of Pokemon Chronicles like stories for Ash to explore this, while a new protagonist leads a new series, unless Nintendo/Game Freak compels ShowPro to convert their model to what they have done for the last 12 years, where they made 6 to 9 different 5 to 10 minute animated shorts to promote their games. Pokemon is still a popular franchise, but the anime is old news for kids in Japan. Think of it as the Facebook of kids anime, while kids have moved on to their own new TikTok-like anime. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Feel free to disagree, but I hope I made some good points. And that was going to be the original video. The individual I spoke to, however, has responded since then. And this isn't hostile. This isn't meant to be a war. But why not? I'm making this video right now. So I will reply to what he said. And then I'll say live what I think. So I basically said about Ash being retired. So point number 7, you just heard it. This individual said there's, quote, there's zero chance they replace Ash. I think you're substituting wishful thinking for prediction. If anything, reception towards Go in the ESC would downplay any chance of Ash retiring. In the event he does retire, he would be replaced with Go. Ash is a creation of Takashi Shudo, has been further refined by Atsuro Tomioka. Even without his decades of pull, he's got a lot to him to make him instantly recognizable. There's no chance ShowPro OLM get rid of him. With that out of the way, so that's what this individual said. Here's my response. I'm kind of done making fun of myself for tonight, so here's what I'll say in my regular voice. As far as Ash not being replaced, so Yugi Moto of Yu-Gi-Oh! If any of you guys are really young, and you've never seen the original Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way, the animation might be a little dated for 2022, but watch it. It's summer. 224 episodes. Get through it in a week. I challenge you. Do it. It's a good story. The original Yu-Gi-Oh! is a very good story. I stopped following after the original series. I have heard that some of the subsequent stories have been better or worse than others. I can't confirm or deny anything. What I will say is this. The original story is very, very good. Now, with that said, Yugi Moto was replaced. It has happened. Now, there are other shonen and shoujo anime that insist on recycling the protagonist. So, Goku, who died, that was key, by the way. At the time, it was important. Goku died at the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z. In America, especially with dubbing, back in the day, us really old folk, it was like, okay, that happened. Goku always comes back. At the time, it was meant to be shocking, because the audience was supposed to have been familiar with the original 1980s Dragon Ball franchise that had gone on for 6 or 7 years. So when Goku died, it was meant to be a big deal. And he was meant to stay dead. Originally, he was meant to stay dead. And unfortunately, I like Goku, honestly. So I'm saying unfortunately. But as far as telling a convincing, compelling story, how many times do you bring someone back to life, right? He's been brought back to life many times, still, kicking butt and taking names. It is what is. But the point is, Yu-Gi-Oh was the first example I was thinking of. There are other anime and franchises in general where the main character has been replaced. So to think that Pokemon couldn't survive without Ash, all I'll say is this, just three things. First, back when the anime first came out in the States, I was part of a message board. Everyone was dissing Ash. Wow, what a terrible, terrible slur there. I'm keeping that. No editing. They were dissing Ash. And you know something about that? A few things. I was the only person on the board who didn't have a problem with Ash. Only one who spoke out. Also, on top of that, when I did, a few other people came out of the framework and started defending him. The complaints back then were none of his Pokemon evolve, he releases all of his Pokemon, and he's stupid. I have noticed a very big change over the last 23 years. People tend to respect Ash more as a person. They appreciate they've released his Pokemon if it made them happy, like Butterfree with its mate. Because, let's be honest, he's had over 50 Pokemon that he's kept in reserve since then. And a lot more of his Pokemon since Johto have evolved. The point is, it was kind of a thing back then to diss Ash. I defend him, whatever. But another example, Naruto. Think of that, Naruto. Depending on your age, if you're watching this, it's probably the thing we're thinking that is an old man's anime. But for a lot more people I'm talking to, they probably remember it. Specifically the Shippuden days before it was, not cool anymore. So, Naruto, literally a story named after a character. It's a very good story, by the way. Don't want to bias anyone one way or the other. I always recommend, by the way, if a manga is good, to watch the anime to see it fleshed out. If you don't have time or patience for fillers, that's a whole other topic. It's always a story by story basis if a filler is good. If you want to skip over that, that's fine. The point is, Naruto/Naruto Shippuden, which was later Naruto manga made into anime, very good story. So I don't watch Boruto for many reasons. Nothing hostile against it, but Naruto has been replaced as the main character of the franchise. So I disagree with the individual I am debating with, because the writers could replace Ash because he hasn't always been liked. And you need to keep at the times. Japan respects voice actors more than in America. So Rika Matsumoto is getting older. It's not a diss, it's a fact. If she's not retiring now, when will it be? Who knows? And think about this, guys. Since Unova, so 2011, Nintendo/Game Freak Show Pro always release these online internet series. Each one's about 9 or 10 minute episodes, right? And sometimes they'll talk about a particular game or something in a particular series. But, whether it's Pokemon, not Chronicles, that was Ash's Buddies Command, Pokemon Evolutions, or things since then, 2009. That's what they always go with. I have a few thoughts. First of all, if Ash is retired, which I think will probably happen, they might just discontinue the anime because guess what? It's a popular franchise that will continue to be popular, like Mario, Zelda, and Metroid, and other things with Nintendo, like Splatoon more recently. The point is, Pokemon as a video game series will be popular forever. The TCG probably too. The anime, maybe. If they feel like that advertising, because it does advertise for the games at the end of the day, has been worn out, they won't continue it. If it does continue, though, it might just be a 10 or 20 episode promotion for the new games. Like Kasumi and Wind right now. 3 episodes for a game that came out last November. And you know what? They might just want and need, with voice actor situations, a change. What if Ash is replaced by a girl from the new regions? There's a lot of possibilities. To assume that Ash will be the protagonist of a Pokemon anime 100 years from now, I almost want to say is comical. Beyond silly. I mean, think of what you just said. And we're already 20 years in. Now, with The Simpsons in America going on for over 30 years, maybe I shouldn't be laughing about this so much. But I don't think it's possible. But for Ash to take on who is ostensibly the strongest trainer in the world, and that's his goal, and not retire him now, I don't see it. Let's continue. So the individual quoted what I said for points 1 and 2. In regard to when the show will end, why do you believe it will be in March? And I'm cutting off the rest there because that was the main point. And 2, if the answer is send them to the new region, then why wouldn't they wrap it up in the current series by November if Ash Gordon are boxing the first region? So the individual said it was his bad, so to his credit, this is his bad. He got confused with English dub dates. With only a few months until the next generation games, okay, blah, blah. He said he thinks Pokemon continuing is likely sooner because Pokemon itself was a sequel to SM, in that it takes place like a year after SM. Continues storylines from the show, noticeably okay. So, go over some extra what might be the project of the year, the end of Project Mew, Finding Music from. Okay, all right. So he said 2 things. So Lily finding her father was like the sequel to Sun Moon. That's why this is supposed to be a big difference. Compared to what though? Serena showing up again, talking about how she's developed and her goals, or Dawn appearing again, or Citron and Eureka. Let alone other people appeared like Corina or Paul or Gary. It doesn't mean that these were sequels to Sinnoh or Kanto or Kalos. This has been a thing with the current series. So for friends of mine / relatives of mine who watched through Kalos or even Alola saying, referring to the current series like, I just can't get into Galar. It's like, well, it's not the Galar. I mean, Galar has been unforgivingly forgotten about and unrepresented. It's Ash to go traveling to the 8 regions that we've been introduced to so far. So the point is, no, this isn't a sequel to Sun Moon. It's a continuation of a subplot that they decided to, in a very good way, wrap up in this series that has been wrapping up other, very, very loose ends. As far as Project Mew, I mean, this individual says it could just continue onward for a goal that Go might never catch. I mean, if Go completes this Regigigas thing and he doesn't run to Mew in the next round when they say this is the final task, yeah, I mean, you could say, well, no, it'll take another year. You could say it'll take another 10 or 20 years. It's elusive, kind of like Mew, if it doesn't happen in the time frame that we're thinking of. All right, so I had said, I don't know, man. They probably would have done the Sinnoh Battle Frontier back in the day if they wanted to. They probably wanted to avoid redundancy. Advertising. So this individual had said, if Ash wins the, even if Ash loses to Leon or Cynthia, right? He could go on to battle the Sinnoh Battle Frontier, or the expansion packs to the Galar games, or even go on to explore regions that we haven't seen just yet that have been introduced in the games, including other things. By the way, he even said the Galar League. Ash won't battle in the Galar League because he's graduated. Remember when Wallace gave him that badge recently and he was like, what's the point of this? So Ash has fought his way up through the ranks. He made his way to the Masters 8. He's a whole league above. I wouldn't blame everyone, literally 7 billion people on the planet. I wouldn't blame everyone on the planet if someone has been watching, if they all start watching. If Ash was relegated to a regional league again, he's battling the 7 other best trainers in the world, and now you're expecting us to care for the battle league. He's either going to easily win, or for some stupid reason, he's going to lose some noob. Even if it's a prodigy, a noob. Galar League isn't happening, guys. As far as the expansion pack regions, they've already shown this with Project Mew. They will continue with Project Mew. I mean, Regigigas is coming up. And the writers don't really care that much. Look how they treat the Hisuian Pokemon. They ran up to this on painting frame and kind of barked. That was it. So Ash and company imagining what they were like. That's not going to happen. As far as the Sinnoh Battle Frontier, if the writers cared, they would have tacked it on. Like they did with the Battle Frontier, like they did with Daw with Unova. It would have happened. They don't care. And honestly, it's not something we should care about too much. I know Barry's dad beat Ash. It's kind of an OCD. Oh my god, is he stronger than Ash thing? Just think of it as a battle that Ash lost. The point is, Ash won one of the Battle Frontiers. It's supposed to represent the fact that he can conquer the other Battle Frontiers. Now, you might want to say, I want to see that. Fair enough. But it's supposed to represent that. The fact they never tackled it shows the writers don't care, and we're not supposed to care. So here's what I said. Ash could easily steamroll the Galar League in a handful of episodes. I'm sorry. So I was... this is what the individual said. The individual said, Ash could easily steamroll the Galar League in a handful of episodes should he decide to challenge it. And I agree. He could. That's the whole point I'm making. So the individual said it's just a possibility, assuming that Lance beats Leon, and the PWC does not concede with Ash Leon. All due respect to this individual, I can't think of anybody else in there who think Lance is going to defeat Leon, but whatever. We're all entitled to our anticipation and beliefs until we see it. So the individual said, I think it would be a neat twist if the finale is Iris versus Lance. With Iris losing. That's climactic. Ash having beaten Steven as his only accomplishment. Then he has to challenge the Galar League to get to face Leon. That creates a new hierarchy of power and doesn't make Pokemon monsters so ridiculous. Now it's changed a champion team in no time. I see this a lot with a lot of people complaining about journeys. Different video, different time. I don't want to get into the fact that Dragonite is a Dragonite and a Gengar is a Gengar, especially trained, especially with being able to do Mega Evolution or Gigantamax, whatever. It's a different video. If you don't think this is Ash's best team, fine. But it's called power scaling. The writers are doing it. If I was writing the current series, what would have happened were the rumors that we heard a few months ago. Ash losing to Paul in a battle, even with his current win streak, and Paul saying, look, if you're really serious about this, being your strongest Pokemon, I agree. Now, if Ash wins with his current team and just his current team, here's what we'll say. His Pokemon back at Oaks Ranch gave him and his Pokemon the love that they needed to win this. They taught all of his current Pokemon moves they need to learn. Is that a substitute? Is it what we want? It is a writing device that was used. I don't think it's the worst in the world either, by the way. It's not what I would have done, but I don't write for the Pokemon anime. But to say that because it isn't his best team, it would be ridiculous for Ash to have won and become a champion. with this current team, and it's not his worst team, guys. His Kanto League was weaker. His Johto League was weaker. Maybe Hoenn. Unova, I would say. Maybe his Sinnoh, Kalos, and Alola League Pokemon were stronger than this current team. It's not his weakest team, guys. But I want to really get into that. The point is, to say it's ridiculous he could win, it's half-hearted. It's not ridiculous because of power scaling. It's anime, guys. Anime based off a video game. Power scaling. Think DBZ. I could not imagine Iris defeating Cynthia and then Lance finding his way up and defeating Leon, and then Lance defeats Iris. I mean, as far as a plot twist, people wouldn't be happy, but at least it would be a plot twist. If Iris won, the whole thing would be one thing, but Lance is the regional OG. So for Iris to surprise everyone to get to second place and then lose the original OG, and sorry if you guys are Lance fans, I'm not talking about the games or the manga, Pokemon Adventures, but the current series, of all 8 people fighting, Lance has the least amount of personality. He did do some stuff in Johto as a G-Man, and that is kind of cool. But that's it. I can't imagine this argument being correct. So I said people hate Go, and this is what the person said to that. Go is more like in Japan. Look up Charu Sharu. A lot of people in Japan hate Go. I've never polled everyone in America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and asked, what's your opinion of Go compared to Japan? But according to this individual, who I believe and I respect, that is the case. Go is not beloved. So, this individual said that Go is more like in Japan, and that's the only market that matters really. Yes, dot, not dot, like questioning it, or dot is period, but kind of. They're not unaware of their initial audience, and they do care about money. It's true Go was really bad early on, but they fixed him some. I agree. I'm not a Go hater, but it's not enough for the haters. The haters hate Go, and it was not enough to stop the haters from hating him. I still see him as more Ash's son than Ash's BFF, but that is neither here nor there. Really? I mean, Ash never ages. Remember, the writers, again, look up Charu Sharu. The writers actually said Ash is 10. Even though time has passed, their references and the Pikachu Pichu short before the 3rd movie. Pikachu, what was it? The episode? The episode with the Pikachu Pichu episode in Johto, 179. Another reference to a anniversary of them being friends. In a way, time passes, but as the writer said, it's like an endless summer of childhood. Time passes, Kukui's, baby is born, but Ash doesn't age. So Ash is 10. Like it or not, I know people hate hearing that. Ash is 10. Go is 10. Ash doesn't see Go as his 10-year-old son. He sees him as his Aibo. So point 6, I mean, Ash has always worked his way up his goals. Here's what the individual said in response. The thing is, the league has never been what makes a Pokemon Master. True. We have never gotten the definitive answer to that. Here's the rest of what the individual said. After that, I'm going to say unquote and say my thoughts. So, Ash says this himself in PM. In the OS, Ash wasn't even thinking of the league, despite wanting to be a Pokemon Master. There's plenty of Pokemon-related activities he can do. Not to mention strong trainers that didn't participate in the regional circuit, like PM's own Suragi. He of the ×3 Regis and ×1 Urshifu SS, a veritable Tobias who was Go's boss. I'm sure they could think of something. Like one idea I had was Ash get gets an egg from a new Regents professor and turns out to be a baby Weavile who Ash has to train from disobedient destructive legend into an obedient ace. Ash hasn't really had a fully disciplined Pokemon since the OS. We could see another arc like that with a Pokemon that would be naturally disobedient for obvious reasons. And all right, guys, here's my response. A lot to unpack there actually. Yeah. So the writers have been vague about what a Pokemon Master is. Ash sets his Pokemon episode 1. He wants to be one. Um, to say he wasn't thinking about being a Pokemon Master isn't accurate. And to say he wasn't thinking about the league isn't accurate because when he saw the poster in Pewter City, he wanted to get all the badges, compete in the Pokemon League. That's just not true. And as far as saying Go's boss in Project Mew, who Go is almost caught up with in the ranks as of now. He has more strong Pokemon than Go, so he's somehow close to being Pokemon Master than Ash, even though he hasn't won as many leagues or flies away with the ranks. Doesn't quite compute. It's nothing about how many legendaries you have, how far have you gone up the ranks. It still hasn't been explained. I'm pretty sure though, if the main character, who's the only person who has to be a Pokemon Master, fights their way through the ranks, that's the goal that they are going towards. And that's the path to have. As far as seeing the anime could think of something, so they could, but would the ratings come in? Maybe, probably not. Ash getting a baby Weavile. We've had baby Larvitar, baby Phanpy, a day 1 disobedient Pikachu. In if you've actually been sitting through this whole thing. By the way, sorry we couldn't have a beautiful video outside tonight. But by the time I posted, it was very dark out. That was going to happen. And it's a computer. It's a almost 2-year-old top of the line MacOS, but it's not gonna do well with its lighting outside. So we had to do inside tonight. Very small, quick tour. Bunch of boxes. My roommate's house originally. And yeah. Anyway, tune into the next video. I'm thinking the next one is actually going to be, because it came up a lot by the way, and I've been thinking about the last few days. I actually am thinking of doing a video about Go. And quick preview. Go is not my favorite of Ash's travel companions. I don't hate the guy either. The point is, I feel like, it is a fact statistically, Go is the most hated of Ash's traveling companions, more than Max. But I feel like the hatred towards him is almost in a cute way, misguided. But I also think the writers could have done a much better job writing him. So I'm not a sycophant for Go, but I don't hate the guy. And I think if you watch the video that I'll be posting soon about it, you might get where I'm coming from. Anyway, here's to hoping that the Masters 8, even with the next 3 battles seemingly rushed, here's hoping that it's enjoyable. And there's not as much controversy as Ash versus Leon versus Alon. But semifinals and the final, those last three battles better be 6v6. Even without the rocketry or interrupting things too much or bantering with the audience. I mean, I really, really hope that it's good. You know, we deserve that as an audience. Many other anime I've watched, Dragon Ball Super, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Yu Yu Hakusho. Others I haven't seen the tournament arcs. So I know My Hero Academia has it and many others. A whole season, 30, 40 episodes for a tournament. We're not even asking for and expecting that here. Please don't treat this like regular Pokemon League. So I'm hoping it's entertaining. I'm hoping it's fun. You know, even if it sucks, which I hope it doesn't. Hoping you guys are enjoying your summer. Otherwise, quick thing, may or may not be doing this on this channel. If I make a second channel or not sure. But there are panoramic tastes here. So Better Call Saul and Stranger Things will be wrapping up over the next 2 months. I think I'm going to, at the very least, do review videos. I am very new to copyright stuff with YouTube. Don't want anything taken down. I might do some kind of reaction video. I've really got to ask a lot of, experienced YouTubers how to avoid that. But you might see videos about that, amongst other things. As for the Master State Tournament, I plan on reacting to news as it leaks, as I have been up to date. If I can avoid copyright strikes and more than 2 people watch these videos, I'll definitely do some reactions and maybe even reviews. I'm going to be the first to admit, though, it's hard. I look at people like Luminous Trainer Zach. He's not the only good reviewer out there, but he'll have these videos which 0 through 10, and it seems easy on paper, but I have to imagine how much time he puts into it because it's complicated. What makes a really good episode an 8 compared to a 9? And what makes a perfect 10? And what is perfect, right? It's a lot to think about. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed listening to almost an hour of rambling. Gonna turn off here. Peace out.